Hey there, welcome back to our Neighborhood Watch, where we dish about what's happening in the cosmic neighborhood and how it affects you and your business. So Venus went retrograde on March 1st. Yes, I am slow to the uptake. Should this video have come out before March 1st, that would have been ideal. It didn't happen, so we're going to talk about it now. And it started in gate 21. It will stay there until the 11th before it starts going backwards and it goes into gate 17. And we may go a little bit more granular into how that energy will play out as it goes into gate 17. We're going to talk about gate 21 though in this video and about Aries, which is the sign that is currently happening in. We also have a video about the houses that either is about to come out or already has, depending on when you are watching this. And that will go into how you can find what house transits are happening in for you specifically versus the collective. And that way you can see what personal themes might be showing up for you in this retrograde and in any transit moving forward. By the end of our chat today, you're going to understand how this transit is going to affect you and your specific life and have some practical tools to navigate the next few weeks with grace. So grab your cosmic binoculars and let's get a watch in. First, let's break down what Venus retrograde actually means. Venus isn't actually moving backward. Retrograde is more of an optical illusion, but that doesn't really matter in the context of astrology. It just appears to be moving backwards from Earth because of positions and speeds and technical sciencey things that I don't actually know about, so I'm not going to talk about them more specifically. This optical illusion for Venus happens approximately every 18 months and lasts approximately 40 days. So this Venus retrograde in Aries will be happening from March 1st to April 12th. And the shadow of the retrograde, which is essentially there's a pre-shadow and a post-shadow of every retrograde, where you still are feeling some of the energies before it goes completely back to normal. That is exiting the shadow period at May 16th. Venus governs everything related to relationships, values, beauty, and finances in astrology. In areas of entrepreneurship, it can also have ties to visual branding and your visual representation, your company values, and things like that. It's also connected to our self-worth and how we receive love. When Venus goes retrograde, these areas of life come up for review and reassessment. Anytime a retrograde happens, regardless of the planet, it's always to highlight things that we've been maybe ignoring, which is why retrogrades can feel inherently difficult and even tacky in certain cases. Is because we've often been ignoring a particular area for quite a while, and a retrograde brings that energy to the forefront and slams it in your face if you've been ignoring it. So it can feel very aggressive, depending on the situation. And this particular retrograde is happening in Aries. It starts in Aries, and it will be retrograding into Pisces. Yes, Pisces. I have dyslexia, which adds some spicy energy to the mix. Anytime a fire sign is involved in a retrograde, it's going to have some interesting feelings involved because it is a fiery sign. It has a lot of energy, a lot of action. It doesn't naturally go with Venus energy, which is usually a lot more flowy. Aries is a direct, sometimes impulsive feeling sign, very self-focused energy, me first. Passion, courage, pioneering spirit are some of the energies of Aries. And when Venus goes retrograde in Aries, we often see impatience in relationships, reassessment of what we truly value, what we impulsively want. Boundaries could come up for discussion, more direct communication about relationship needs, and a tension between independence and partnership. In human design, this is starting in gate 21. Gate 21 is located in the will center or heart center and has a powerful connection to control, willpower, and material resources. When gate 21 is expressed in its higher form, it manifests as natural determination to acquire what's needed, healthy leadership and influence, the ability to manifest material resources, and willpower directed toward worthy goals. But during a retrograde, we often see the shadow side of that gate emerge. So control issues in relationships, using resources or money to control others. Definitely not a topic or theme that we are seeing play out on a global or governmental stage. Excessive materialism, willfulness rather than willingness. And so when we see these shadows popping up for us, it's never actually meant to be this like harsh call out of you suck, which can be how a retrograde can feel to us at the moment. But it's actually more of an invitation to assess your life in a particular area. And again, this is going to have a different flavor for you depending on where Aries lands in your houses, what house rules Aries for you particularly. So if you're an Aries rising, this is happening in your first house, which means you'll have a stronger emphasis on your self and self-identity and how other people see you. But if Aries, for instance, was happening in the 9th house, it might have more to do with like higher learning and philosophy and would show up very differently. So again, that houses video is either already up or will be up very shortly. But you can also see there's some amazing articles on how to find the house for your particular transit, or you could even ask AI. During this Venus retrograde, we're being invited to examine where we might be operating from the shadow of control and how we can shift toward authentic authority in our relationships and values. Venus retrograde is also famous for bringing past relationships back into focus. So don't be surprised if an ex slides into your DMs during this transit. It's not unusual. With Gate 21 activated, these reconnections can often involve unresolved control dynamics. Especially important if you have past narcissists in your history. In current relationships, you also might notice power struggles emerging, especially around resources or decision making. It will put a highlight again on anything that hasn't been resolved or well communicated, boundaries that are a little bit flimsy and floppy. Financial or material tensions may become more apparent. Money is often a very key stressor in relationships. And questions about who leads and who follows. Some potential muscle testing questions for this with relationship patterns is engaging with this person aligned for me now? Especially if somebody from your past comes up, it may be tempting to reconnect. Muscle testing could be a good idea before doing so. Has this relationship pattern been fully resolved if you see something popping up? Am I approaching this relationship from control? Question 1. Am I approaching this relationship from authentic connection? And control is such a sticky energy, a sticky word, right? And we never want to be coming from a place of control because control is a very closed energy. If you think about what control does, it really blocks off any other possibilities from coming in. And living in alignment, living in flow, having things flow and magnetize to you is a very open process, which is really scary. It's why we have to work on this as human beings. We're not naturally inclined to be so open because it feels very scary and it doesn't seemingly align with our survival instincts. And control is very closed off. And you can only get so far being that closed off with something. And so control is a very sticky thing, and really give yourself grace if control comes up as a dynamic that gets highlighted during the retrograde. Honestly, in any retrograde, give yourself grace because it can be very triggering and it can be very unbalancing to have things put in front of you and highlight issues that you have going on. And of course, deconditioning EFT can be a really great thing to be doing during this retrograde. And some daily muscle testing can be good with, is this desire coming from my authentic self? Question 1. Or is this coming from a need to control the outcome? Would releasing control in this situation serve my highest good? Great question. Is this relationship dynamic healthy for me right now? Also great question. Could be a hard one to hear. And so if you're new to muscle testing, that might be a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. Maybe start with something smaller of maybe would space serve me well in this situation right now? Or should I prioritize self-care and space in this moment? That could be an easier question to ask if you're not ready to hear the answer to whether or not a relationship is a healthy dynamic. As we wrap up Neighborhood Watch, let's remember these key dates for Venus retrograde. March 1st is when Venus stations retrograde in Aries. And it also stations in Gate 21, which it will stay in until March 11th when it shifts backwards into Gate 17. April 12th is when Venus stations direct, starts moving forward again. And then May 16th is when Venus leaves the shadow period. While this transit may bring up some relationship drama to our cosmic neighborhood and our personal neighborhood, it also offers beautiful gifts that we can navigate it consciously. Greater authenticity and how we relate to others can come from this. Release of controlling behaviors that don't serve us. Deeper alignment with our true values. More authentic expressions of our worth and beauty. I'd love to hear from you. So share in the comments which house Aries falls in your chart and how you're experiencing this transit or any plans that you have for this transit in retrograde. In the next Neighborhood Watch, we're going to be talking about full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, and we'll also be having an episode upcoming about the Mercury retrograde happening on the 15th that is also stationing direct in Aries, or stationing in retrograde in Aries in Gate 21 as well. And so even though Venus will have moved into 17, gate 17 at that point, Mercury is starting at the same place that Venus is, which is an interesting energy. And having Mercury in retrograde and Venus retrograde at the same time can be a little bit intense. We have two very different energies being shown to us, two very different shadows being shown to us. And remember, when these celestial events are just temporary shows on your street, with muscle testing and human design awareness, you get to choose how much you participate in the drama and how it affects you. And we will see you next time, neighbor.